King Charles, of course, spoke about his mother after she had passed away. And here's a little bit of that speech that he gave just yesterday.
Queen Elizabeth was a life well lived, a promise with destiny kept, and she is mourned most deeply in her passing. That promise of lifelong service I renew to you all today.
Well, this Sunday morning, we want to welcome in Hilary Fordwich. She is a Royal Time royal watcher, former journalist and global business consultant. Hilary, good to have you along. I'm struck as we watch this right now, the competing emotions in that country now. And, you know, let's state at the beginning, you know, she is not the Queen of America. We understand that, but certainly Americans pay a lot of attention to it. You have a new king in place. People are celebrating that, but at the also time they are mourning this queen. We have not seen this, obviously, in 70 years. So what is that tug and pull like for the British people right now?
Well, Tom, thank you for having me, even though ghastly circumstances. There's a tug and a pull with all sorts of things. And may I just make mention, because it's 9/11, of what the Queen did on 9/11. 9/11, she had the Star-Spangled Banner, the American national anthem, played outside by the guards at Buckingham Palace. Never in 1,000 years had a monarch done that and had them play a foreign national anthem. And she did it on every single 9/11, and she shed a tear also. May I also say that going to your studio in DC, that there are Union Jacks on every lamppost for those watching along Pennsylvania Avenue. Immensely touching. We don't have a queen here, but it is lovely to see the American outpouring of support. Now, you asked about the tug of emotions. Tug of emotions in the UK, yes, because just like when the Queen ascended to the throne, don't forget, she was mourning at that time the death of her father, King George VI. And she's always said that Ascension Day for her was always very sad because it was the passing of her father, which she always remembered. And she was at Sandringham every single year at that time because that's where he passed. Of course, she passed at Balmoral, her favourite, their estate up in Scotland. But it's a tug of emotions. It was a tug of emotions for her. It is for every member of the royal family, and I think for most people. But we must celebrate now King Charles.
What do you make of the reaction to her death? Obviously, one of the most famous people on the planet. But are you surprised or taken aback at this tidal wave of goodwill towards her that we see pouring out from corners of the world where you might not necessarily expect that kind of thing?
Tom, you're absolutely right. I'm personally overwhelmed, but who cares about what I feel? Let's look at leaders that we would never expect. Putin. Actually, he has sent his condolences. It's going to make me cry. Would he please look at this and look at this outpouring of global unity? No one has commanded anybody, I'm sure no one commanded you to cover this morning on your station. No one is ordered, no one is dictated to have any of these emotions. We do because she was a lady of dignity and of grace and of peace. May everyone remember that.
Does she in some way maybe represent something that doesn't exist anymore?
Well, let's not say that, because let's not be pessimistic.
In the sense that, you know, we would look up to a monarch, that she represents something that we just do not inhabit anymore.
I think the world is, Tom, my answer to that is the world is so polarized, whether it be media, whether it be gerrymandering. Everything is so polarized, most unfortunately. You're right. I don't know that we actually in our lifetimes will ever see this. Actually, probably, I would venture to say, if I might, global unity. Paris, do you know they turned off the lights of the Eiffel Tower? And even Macron, who doesn't seem to be much of a friend of the English, even though, of course, we saved them in the Second World War. Let's forget that. But he said, we don't think of her as Queen Elizabeth, we think of her as the Queen. Not our Queen, but the Queen.
Of course, obviously, there have been questions for years about the future of the monarchy in Great Britain. Those voices are probably at some point, once we pass, you know, this funeral and this coronation at some point, going to grow louder. Prince Charles became King Charles as not a young man. Queen Elizabeth was a very young woman when she ascended to the throne. So does that factor in now that you have an elderly king taking the throne at a time when, you know, the voices about the reasonability of having a monarchy are getting louder and louder, and now that central pillar of Queen Elizabeth is no longer on the stage?
Well, many aspects to your question there. A couple of things. Number one, you're totally right. There have been those voices. But even though Prince Charles had only ever had a 47% approval rating according to YouGov, and the Queen always enjoyed over 80%, Prince William always has had over 80%. It will be very interesting, Tom, to see after his articulate, heartfelt, basically errorless speech, whether that goes up this week. That will be interesting to see. Also, I think most people, going back to your former question, are overwhelmed with a sense of unity. Who doesn't want to be united and feel this way? I think that's going to impact those poll numbers a lot. And also, very importantly, remember this. This is a time when not only are people brought together, but I think people are looking at the example of him offering yet another olive branch to Harry and Meghan. May we all be full of forgiveness. So I think that's a very important thing. People will see monarchy that rises above politics, remember, politically neutral, as something positive.
And in a way, over the next couple of days, there's a kaleidoscope at work here, because if people are looking for things that maybe are missing in their own lives, unity. Well,
Yes.
you know, who doesn't have a situation in their own families
Correct.
in some respect where maybe there are hard feelings and you see this family come together? Maybe, you know, there is a message here for people as they look at these people who they will never meet or may never know, that they can draw something inspirational about it for their own lives as well.
Yes, absolutely. And would we also look at this? Think about the fact that the Queen said that grief is the price we pay for love. So think about the grief. And anybody, I think what people are doing, and you're hearing this across the UK, I think even in the US, it's all generational. You know, I'm wearing my mummy's pearls. They're actually kind of like the Queen's, but that's because every lady of a generation, a certain generation had those. Prince William has said already, he already said in his letter, he already said, our generation. That's a different generation than some of us. Then also think about that we won't be around probably for Prince George's coronation, which is his very young son, but everybody young will be today. So people identify with a different generation.
Right. Well, I mean, I tend to be around, but...
Yeah. Oh, I'm going to live to be 104. I don't know about you. 104 in 7
Absolutely.
months.
I'll meet you there.